Excellent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sunday evening Zoom call for Wealth Warriors. And what we were going to do, what I said last time, we're going to do tonight, we're not going to do. I was going to do a standard presentation because we haven't done one for a little while, and it's always good to have a fresh recording out there to show people. And but we're not going to do that. We're going to do this instead because I've had a number of people over the last couple of weeks talk to me about Binance, but not Binance, Bytnex. Okay, so they've been talking to me about Bytnex, and I realized that, and in fact, somebody asked me for a video, and I went to my YouTube channel thinking I've got a fairly recent video of Bytnex, and the most recent one is over 3 months old. So I thought, well, what we'll do is we'll do another presentation tonight about Bytnex. We'll cover some more stuff, cover it in a slightly different way, perhaps, and get it up there as a video for us all to give out to people. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how we use Bytnex as one of the mainstays of our strategy, of our portfolio, so that we can strategize for our own personal wealth and generational wealth that we're all looking to do, to create as part of Wealth Warriors. So I'm going to go through just the introduction from the Wealth Warriors presentation I have prepared for tonight, and then we'll skip over to a different presentation to talk more about Bytnex. So let's do that. And I'm sorry I didn't welcome everybody. Welcome to the call, and welcome to you if you're watching this by video at a later stage. Okay, so enjoy. So I'm going to share my screen, go over to this presentation, and there you have it. Welcome to Wealth Warriors. That's the intention there is to create a big pile of cryptocurrency, and I like showing Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency on the planet. Still the first, the favorite, and the one and only true cryptocurrency. If we have a chance, if somebody wants to ask me that in the Q&A, I'll explain what I mean by that. And there we are in a nice spring meadow with a nice sunny sky and fireworks. So that's kind of the future we're looking for: an abundance of money and just easy living. Abundant living is what I like to say. And it's the 1st of February 2026. In case you don't know yet, my name's Andy Galloway. This is a presentation on behalf of Wealth Warriors. So nothing in this presentation is given as financial or investment advice. Wealth Warriors is not an investment platform, it's a community, but we do promote online platforms. And we're going to talk tonight about one particular platform. And if you decide to invest in any of the platforms discussed in this presentation, only use money you can comfortably afford to lose and carry out your own due diligence. And I'm not an employee or agent of any of the companies mentioned herein. I'm going to have to change that fairly soon because I'm forming a fairly close relationship with the owners of Veralio, and so I may have to change how I word that. But at the moment, as it stands today, I'm not an employee or agent of any of the companies. So when it comes to Bytnex, which we're going to be talking about in a second, if you'll remember, I'm a member. I'm exactly the same as you. There is no difference. I hope one day to become a leader. I don't really have an aspiration to become a super leader, but I would like to get to the point of being a leader because you get more money for that. So well, it's actually in the presentation, so we will touch on that in a little while. Okay, I'm all caffeinated and ready to go. So what is the problem with online businesses? Why do we have to go to all the trouble of doing something like Wealth Warriors? Well, the problem is, okay, look at it another way. By doing if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll always have what you've got right now. And most of us aren't happy with that. We'd love to find a way through the maze. We'd love to find a way of getting to the end result without falling foul of all these scams, because there are a lot of scams out there. I always knew there were a lot of scams, but until I started Wealth Warriors and I started investigating, trying to find good companies, I didn't realize how many. And it really is, it's about 98, 99% of all so-called online businesses and investment opportunities are scams. And then there's another group where they're not scams, they are perfectly legitimate businesses, but they are run so poorly, and I'm going to add another bit to this particular point, but they're run so poorly that they go bust. And that happens with online businesses as well as offline businesses. There are businesses near your home that aren't there anymore. They were there 5 years ago. They're not there now. But I'm going to add to this that there are some businesses that, although they're perfectly legitimate businesses, they make a business decision uh, to basically grab the money from us and change the system. We've seen this a couple of times in the last couple of months. They grab the money, change the system. If you want to get back into that system, now you have to put more money in. And so it might not be a scam, but it's certainly not the way that I like to do business. So as soon as that rears its ugly head, I'm out of there. As I said to somebody the other day, in the words of the Shark Tank, I'm out. And then there's another group of businesses that aren't scams and they don't go bust, but they get shut down by somebody else. Okay, regulators, government departments, these sorts of people who think that these people are doing something wrong just because they're dealing with cryptocurrency. Okay, they're running a business that these regulators don't understand. Maybe they've received a few complaints from people who don't understand. And so they say, right, you've got to shut down your business. We're going to seize all your assets. And that's the end of that business. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just misunderstood. So that's the reason we do this. We're trying to avoid all three of those categories of business. And it doesn't matter how much money you make in online businesses, you can't become truly financially free, free from government control, financial institution control, just to be master of your own destiny, captain of your own ship. Okay, you can't do that just by making a lot of money. You're you're still in the system, you're still being controlled by somebody else, you're just on a nicer ship. That's all. This is partway through a presentation I did a little while ago, and I've updated it a little bit, made things a little bit clearer, a little bit more easy to understand. It is quite lengthy, so I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can because then we're going to go on to some other things as advertised. Okay. So the rest of this presentation is about Bytnex, and Bytnex is a community-based project. It operates in the cryptocurrency sector, as you'd imagine, and it uses a blockchain-based DeFi staking protocol. And if you don't understand what DeFi staking is, pay attention because I will be going through that in a few different ways just to make sure you understand what separates this from other things you might have looked at. Bytnex maintains the partnerships with banks, insurance companies, and individual account holders, and you are one of the individual account holders. So Bytnex as a company is very, very light. It's been set up to run to run automatically, as in it's automated. The owners of Bytnex don't want to spend their life babysitting us. They want the smart contracts and the internet, the platform to do all the hard work because they just don't, they wanted to do this, but they didn't want it to take over their lives, which is, I can fully understand that. That's exactly what we're trying to do with Wealth Warriors. So Bytnex uses smart contracts to generate profits for all three parties, the bank, the insurance company, and us. And because it's a smart contract, there is anonymity for all parties. So if you're interested in people not really knowing what you do on the internet, this is ideal because all you need to put in is your email address. And that's it. No KYC, no phone numbers, no country of residence, nothing. Just your email address. Now, there are two ways of earning with Bytnex, as with all of the platforms that we look at with, or we adopt with Wealth Warriors, is that we have two different things. One is passive income, and the other is team building income. Now, the passive income is earned from the staking contracts, and it's done by a fixed payout once the smart contract has matured. So you buy a contract, nothing until the contract's matured, then you get all the money in one lump sum. Team building income is earned from building a team of others who set up passive income contracts for themselves, and they can also build up a team of like-minded people. So team building is an optional activity, and there are three types of team building income. If I've still got time, I will go through the direct bonuses, the end of contract commissions, and the leader bonuses. So what is DeFi staking, I hear you ask? It's the process of keeping your assets in a smart contract in exchange for the accumulation of interest. So if you're going to stake money, ordinarily stake money, like you do with your bank, believe it or not, that's not your money. You've staked it with them and they can use it, and they do use it. They just don't give you any of the interest they make by using it. So then they take your money and they use it. That's just in a bank account. With this, your money your money is used to set up a smart contract. The smart contract acquires the assets and also pays all of the costs associated. It's nothing to do with you. It's a smart contract. And in exchange, the smart contract builds up an accumulation of interest. So crypto assets are locked for a contractual period of time because you don't have any crypto assets. You paid to set up the smart contract. That's it, your money's gone. So you don't actually own anything else except you have access to that smart contract. Locked assets protects blockchain network's ability to generate crypto profits, and as a reward, the stake payer, so the staker or the participant, whichever way you want to look at it, receives returns. And is considered, DeFi staking is considered the modern savings account, but much more lucrative because daily rewards are possible with staking. You know, if you have money in a savings account, they probably only calculate the interest once a month. They probably don't calculate it every day. And if they do, it's probably not very much. Bytnex averages a variable of 0.05% to 0.3% per day from staking and compounds the interest daily for profitable returns. So a DeFi hybrid contract consists of two parts. One is the smart contract, which is just code running on a blockchain. It's not really a contract in the sense that, you know, you don't have a hard copy that you have to sign. It's just a piece of code called a smart contract. And then you need somewhere for that smart contract, that code, if you like, to live. So there's a decentralized Oracle network that provides secure off-chain services that support the smart contract. This is a contractual arrangement or agreement between the contract, the insurance company, and the bank. And the staked money, the loan plus any accrued profit, is used to generate profits between 0.05% and 0.3% per day. So the contracts provide a collaboration between the bank, the insurance company, and the account holder. And the account holder selects the length of time the contract runs. So that's all we need to decide. Two things: how much are we going to put in, and how long we want the contract to run for. And we have four options on the length of time: 24 months, 36 months, 60 months, and 84 months. That's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. And the good news is the longer the contract, the better the bank interest rate, and therefore the greater the return. If you understand how compounding works, then the longer you leave the money, the growth towards the end is exponential, and there's far, far more in the last few months of a contract than it is in the first few months. So the account holder, you pay $100 to activate a single contract. And if you want to take advantage of a special offer, if you like, then $1,000 won't buy you 10 contracts, it'll buy you a pack of 15 contracts. So immediately you've added 50% to your investment. Once set up, the contract stakes the money received not from you. Once you set up the contract, that $100 or $1,000, that's gone. But the contract borrows money from the bank, and that's what's staked. We'll have a look at how good that is. So what I've done here is to say, let's have a look at the amount deposited. I've just considered $100 for this example. So if you stake $100, just ordinary staking, like you leave it in your bank account, then the amount staked is $100. Compounded over 2 years, you get $107. Over 3 years, $198 just from 100. So you tripled your money in 3 years, which is far better than your bank will do for you. Over 5 years, because 5 years and 7 years have a better interest rate, you see how that jumps up dramatically. It's $1,441, and for 7 years, it's $4,504. Now, this is just an example of compounding with a loan as opposed to your own stake money. It's not an illustration of the performance that Bytnex. I just want you to understand this DeFi staking, because if you get this, then you get Bytnex. Simple as that. But out of that money, you still have to pay fees, bank interest, loan repayment, and so on. So if we look now at the DeFi staking, then you put in $100 to set up the contract, but the amount you stake is $30,240. That's not yours, that's from a bank loan and has to be repaid at the end. But over 2 years, the profit from that is 32,000. Okay, so after you've repaid your bank loan, that's 32,000 profit. Over 3 years, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's not including the bank interest repayment. Over 2 years, it's 32,487. I think I got that amount. Have I got that right? Over 2 years, 32. Yes, that's right. So over 3 years, it's 60,103. Over 5 years, it's 435,000, nearly 436,000. And over 7 years is 1.362 million. Okay, so this isn't what you're going to get back. Don't think that, don't get all excited. This is just the comparison between if you put $100 into an account yourself to stake, as opposed to putting it into Bytnex to take advantage of this DeFi staking process. You can see the difference. Would you rather have $4,500 after 7 years or 1.3 million? I'm assuming you're thinking that 1.3 million would be much better. And the thing is, people worry about tying their money up for 7 years, but if you wanted to make 4,500, your money is still tied up for 7 years. Because if you take that money back out too soon, then you cut into your profits. And by cutting into your compounding profits, you actually take a big slice out of that pie. You lose money just as quickly as you gain money. So there are 6 different contracts available, but they all work in exactly the same way. You can have the loan given to a 24 or 36-month contract is 30,240. The loan given to 60 and 84 months contract is 43,200. So there's 2 things happening here. One, with the 24 and 36 months, you borrow less money than the 60 and 84 months, and your earnings are 0.1% roughly, as opposed to 0.15% roughly. So let's have a look at the first DeFi Hybrid 24. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll go through a couple of them. So for the DeFi Hybrid 24, it runs for 2 years. It costs you $100 to activate. You get 1 contract. Size of the loan is 30,200. Your bank interest rate is atrocious. It's 8.50%. That's got to be paid every year out of your profit. So you've got to hope you make some profit, which of course you do. Monthly insurance is $210. That's going to be paid out of your insurance every month. And a handling fee of $30 has to be paid out of your profits. So your total profit that contract will make is 61,755, roughly. The bank interest is 2 lots of 2,570 because it's a 2-year contract. So you pay back 5,140 every year. Sorry, 2,570 every year. Your total insurance is 24 payments of 210, and the handling fees is 24 payments of $30. So you pay back the bank, so you pay all of that, and you also pay back the bank loan. That all comes out of that 61,000. That all comes out of that 61,000, and it leaves you with 20,615 roughly. I say just over 20,000. So let's see that work again, and the difference between 24 months and 36 months, same amount in, same number of contracts, same bank loan, much better bank interest rate. So that saves on you losing so much of your profit, but the same insurance and the same handling fee. So your profit now, instead of the 61,000 just now that we were looking at, is over 80,000. But now you have to pay 3 lots of bank interest, 36 lots of insurance, 36 lots of handling fees. When all that's paid out and you repay the bank loan, you're left with $35,488. Okay, now don't hold me to every last penny. This is a ballpark figure because some days you'll earn 0.1%, sometimes you'll earn 0.09, sometimes you'll earn 1.1. It's a ballpark figure. So the same thing holds true for the 60 months, except now your bank interest rate is even better, but you're paying more insurance but the same handling fee. So now you've made 549,000 in profit over a 5-year period. So you see how your day, or you probably can't see it from this, but your daily earnings far outstrip what you have to pay in bank interest every year, because the bank interest is still only around $2,000. You make that very, very easily. And so at the end of the year, 3 years, you paid at the end of the 5 years, you paid nearly $12,000, $18,000 in insurance fees, and 1,800 in handling fees. So you repay all that, you repay your bank loan, and you walk away with almost $500,000. So you can see why the banks are interested in this, because they make great interest with no risk. Because if something does go wrong, the insurance company pays out. The insurance company love this because they get $300 a month from thousands and thousands of contracts, and they've never had a contract called out. So they're making money for old rope. I'm not going to go through any more than that, but we will. Let's have a look at the 36 pack. So 36 pack is for 3 months. So for 3 years, 36 months, and you put in $1,000, but you get 15 contracts. So your bank is loaning you 15 lots of that 30,200, which is 453,600. And the bank interest rate is still that 6.75. Your monthly insurance on all those contracts is now 3,000. So this is just monthly now, 3,150. And your handling fee every month is 450. So when it's time to finish up the contract, your profit is 1.16 million. You've paid back all this bank interest, 61,000 bank interest with no risk to the bank. They love this. Then your total insurance payment, 75,000 to the bank over 3 years with no risk. They love this. Total handling fees, 10,800. You repay all that, repay your bank loan, and you're left with over $500,000. Okay, $500,000 to walk away with. So this is a summary of all those contracts. I'm not going to go into it in any detail. We've just gone through it in a little bit of detail. So what's in it for the bank? I kind of alluded to this. There's never been an instance where they didn't get paid their annual interest every year on time, and there's not an instance where they didn't get all of their funds back at the end of the contract, in full and on time. And if something ever does go wrong, then the interest, the loan capital and the interest outstanding is insured. So for the bank, it's money for old rope and no risk. They want to see more contracts. They're quite happy with this. They've got more money to lend us than we can take. We're a cash cow as far as they're concerned. If you were a bank and you had the idea of investing in this and you checked into it and you said, I think this is a great deal, you'd want as many of those contracts as you could possibly get. So, and they don't just deal with one bank, they deal with many, many banks. What's in it for the insurance company? Why would they go along with this? Well, they underwrite thousands of these loans every single day, and they get their premium paid up front and in full every month throughout the contract. Can you imagine over the last, what's it now, 8 years, how many of these contracts they've received the insurance premium and never paid out, not even once have they had to pay out. They've got hundreds of thousands, if not hundreds of millions in profit from all these contracts. They don't have to pay anything out. Imagine they did have to pay out a few contracts here and there. It's not a problem for them. They're already, in the UK, we say your quid's in. Okay, you've made a lot of money, a lot of overhead there to act as a buffer. So not one of them has ever been required to pay out over the last 8 years. So it's money for old rope. And how many, just consider this, how many insurance companies would love to sell policies in these sorts of numbers without the associated cost of financial advisors and administrators and with such a low risk? Every insurance company in the world would love to have these. So now imagine you're involved in another Wealth Warriors program. Say, I'm not going to talk about BitHarvest because we don't do BitHarvest anymore. Imagine Veralio and you want to add $1,000 to your trading fund. If you deposit $1,000 into Veralio, and if Veralio earns a compounded interest of 20% per month, at the end of 2 years, you could have an additional $79,000 by compounding your profits. But if you staked $1,000 in Bytnex for 2 years, you'd receive 309,000. So with 309,000, you can earn 61,600. So if you take that and put that into Feralio after 2 years, you can earn 61,800 next month. Every single month you can earn 61,000 as opposed to 79,000 in 2 years. Next month, that 61,800 compounds and produces even more profits. Okay, so that's how you cross-platform strategize. You make some money here and put it over there. We have a platform called Lumex. Imagine taking 309,000 and putting it into Lumex, earning 1.24% per day for 360 days. You know, the outcome of that will be you get your money back in Lumex in about just a guess. This is, I haven't done the maths, but in under 70 days, say 65 days, you'd be able to, in fact, no, probably sooner than that. It's an interesting exercise. I'm going to do that. And yeah, so it all happened from making the money here. And even if you don't put all the 309,000 into something, you can take 100,000 and put it into estate. You can take 100,000 and put it into Lumex. Okay, and you've still got over 100,000 to spend and enjoy yourself. So that's how we do cross-platform strategizing. We want to keep our portfolio balanced, which is difficult with Bytnex because there's a limit to how many contracts you can buy. So you can't actually put, if you've got 100,000 in Lumex and 100,000 in estate, you can't also put 100,000 in Bytnex because you can't buy that many contracts. We'll go through that in a minute. So if you want to have a look at the fastest way without cross-platform strategizing, you just want to use Bytnex. The fastest route to a large and growing income is to set up two-year cycles with Bytnex. So on day one, you put $100 into a single DeFi Hybrid 24. When that completes, you have $21,000. So the next day after that completes, you set up 5 DeFi Hybrid 24 packs, which cost you $1,000 each. That's $5,000. And then because you're allowed to buy 80 contracts. So you bought 75 with these DeFi Hybrid 24 packs. Okay, you got 75 contracts. The other 5 contracts have to be 5 individual contracts of $100 each. So that's 5,500. If you do it smart, that's the maximum you can buy. Even if you buy all your contracts individually, $100 a time, the most you can buy is $8,000. So assume you do it the smart way. You then have 15,500 that you cannot use in Bytnex, so you use it in another platform, such as Lumex, eEstate. Maybe go to Republic of Old Souls and get some of those bank recruitments going, something like that. So now you've got 80 contracts for the next 2 years. So day 1,462, which is after the next 2-year period, you're going to receive 409,000 as a result of all of those contracts. Sorry, that's not true. I've totally misrepresented that. It's 309 times 5, call it 1.5 million plus another. So it's about 1.7 million you're going to receive on day 1,462, 1.7 million. And then the next day, you basically you put in another 5,500 to max out your contracts again. Okay, and that means you'll have, so you don't get an income the following year, but and the following year you get another 1.7 million. So your annual income is actually about 750,000. Is that right? Yes. 1.7 million will get you 750,000 every year. So I think, if we scale back a little bit, we could probably cut out the trips to Burger King. Maybe we could really cut our spending back to $750,000. What do you think? I think we could probably do that. We could live a really nice life with $750,000 a year coming in, or sorry, not coming in every year. It comes in double that, comes in every 2 years. Okay, we could probably live a really nice life. We could do a lot of good in the world with that. So let's get into the team building side of Bytnex. It's entirely optional, doesn't affect your passive income. And in simplest terms, when you introduce people to Bytnex and help them set up contracts, you receive a direct bonus from each contract they set up, and it's generated as part of the process of setting up that contract. When those people introduce people who then set up contracts, you receive another bonus as a result of those contracts, and that goes down 10 levels. So the people that introduce the people that introduce the people down 10 levels, you will receive a commission or a bonus as a result of that. So let's have a look at, oh, so we won't look at that just yet. So the people in your first 10 levels, I refer to them as your direct bonus team. And most people only ever introduce 2 people, but you can introduce as many people as you want. And some people introduce literally hundreds of others. When you look at the earnings potential for your friends, it's easy to see why. 2 people introducing 2 people can have a huge impact on your potential earning. So let's see what a team like that, structured like that, looks like. So 2, introduce 2, introduce 2, and so on. So this is your team. On level 1, you've got 2 members. So on level 2, you've got 4. On level 3, you've got 8. But in reality, your business won't look anything like this. But there's a high probability that it's going to be much bigger numbers than this, because it's not unusual for people to introduce 20, 30, 40, 50 people. That's not somebody who's really particularly committed to doing this. It's somebody who just talks and has a lot of friends. Okay. Yeah. So, but somebody who's dedicated to this type of business could easily introduce 100, 150, 200 people. And of course, you would benefit from that. So let's have a look at the different commission percentages on the different levels all the way down. Gives us this amount of commission. So if you've got 1,024 people on level 10, you will make from the sale of those $100 contracts. Sorry, and we're assuming that everybody just buys a single $100 contract. Then you'll make $3,072 as a result of those 1,024 contracts. And in reality, nobody just buys one contract. As soon as they can afford it, they will buy another contract. I started off with one for about a year. I just sat with one contract, and then I realized what I was doing, so I bought, and now I've got 39. A lot of people have got a lot more than that. So this is what you would receive if you have a very modest sized business. So when those contracts mature, you also receive another commission called an end of contract commission. And it's a very exciting element of Bytnex. I've never seen it before in anything. And since I've been involved in Bytnex, I've never seen it in anything either. So the people in your first 20 levels are I refer to them as your end of contract commissions team. So every day where those contracts are in their daily profit, a little of the excess profit is passed to you, and you can watch it accumulate in your back office. So it's not from the people you introduced. The people you introduce, they get their full measure of profit, but the company actually generates more profit than they need to pay that person. They generate enough to pay you and the people that introduce you and the people that introduce them, and so on. And you can watch these figures accumulate in your back office every single day. They go up. But when that contract matures and pays out the contract owner, whatever your share of that profit is in your back office, that gets transferred to your Binance, so your Bytnex wallet, and you can withdraw that instantly, or you can transfer it to other people internally, so there's no fees involved, or you can set up more contracts with it. Okay, so it's all good stuff. So working on the example we used earlier, where everybody introduced 2 people, let's see what that can do for you. And as this commission is paid out on completed contracts, let's assume that each person in the entire team only sets up one contract at a time. So they wait 2 years. When that contract's finished, they set up another one contract. Nobody's going to do that. Let's see what a team structured like that looks like. So on level 1, you've got 2 members, level 2, 4 members, and so on. Down to a level 20, you've got 1.048 million people. So in your entire team on level 20, between where you are and level 20, you have over 2 million people. Okay, now that's not a hypothetical. That's not an if, but, or maybe. If you introduce some people who introduce some people who introduce some people, very, very few people only introduce one person. It's possible, but is much more likely that they will be excited about this and introduce people themselves. So that's not a question. The only question about that is how long is it going to take? If you're committed and you work on this all day, every day, you could achieve that in a few months. If you're not committed and you're just casually talking to people about this, it might take you a couple of years, but you can definitely get there without breaking a sweat. So let's see what commissions you get on those different levels. So on level 1, you receive 8%. Then the next 3 levels, you receive 5%. The next 3 levels, you receive, 4 levels, you receive 4%. The next 4 levels is 3%, and so on. So you get a larger percentage from the top nearest you and a smaller percentage, but of course there's a lot more people with the smaller percentages down the bottom. So let's have a look at what that is in dollars. So on level 1, you can make 3,300. Level 2, 4,200. This is everybody on that level just having just one contract. And level 10, you can make 645. So by the time you've got there, you've got the total of all of those 10 levels. It's not either or. It's a total of all of those. So it's a cumulative amount. Let's have a look at what happens on the levels 11 to 20. So this is getting silly numbers now. If you've got 2,000 people on level 11 and 1.048 million on level 20, you'll receive a huge amount of end of contract commissions, I should say. Okay, and that's just dependent on everybody having 1 2-year contract. And then there's a leader bonus. This is a third way of earning bonus. So leader bonuses are paid every single month. I've never missed a leader bonus. And a leader bonus is kind of like a salary. It's typically about 36,000 when you first qualify for it, 36,000 per month, and it goes up from then. As your business continues to grow, your leader bonus continues to grow. You have to qualify for the leader bonus every month, but of course the contracts are a minimum of 2 years. So if you qualify 1 month, it's not very likely you're going to have a load of contracts pay out the following month without them being replaced by people. So once you qualify, there's no guarantee, but it's really, really likely that you're going to maintain that qualification for a very long time. Let's have a look at the qualifications that are required. You directly sponsor 100 members, and those 100 members have to at least have one $100 contract each. So if you have 100 members and one of the contracts pays out and they don't renew that contract, you need to find another person to get a $100 contract. And believe me, it would actually be worth you introducing somebody who even doesn't want to do this, your wife or your brother-in-law who doesn't want to do it, and give them $100 to get that going for them, because then it requalifies you for the leader bonus. The total volume of 100,000, so you need to have 100 people on your front line with a $100 contract each. You also need a team volume of 100,000. Team volume of 100,000 in your entire team. And for that, then you receive a $5,000 bonus. When you've got those 2 qualifications, you receive a $5,000 bonus. Then you maintain the above qualification, achieve 100 new contracts each month from levels 1 and 2, just the people on your levels 1 and 2. Now, bear in mind, you've got 100 people on level 1. You've probably got 10,000 people on level 2. Between them, they just need to buy 100 contracts. And for that, then you receive a 5% bonus on every new contract in your team that month, down to infinity. So you qualify on levels 1 and 2, you qualify on what levels 1 and 2 are doing, but you receive the 5% bonus all the way down to the bottom of the pile. Or if you bump into a next leader, then your claim to what's below that leader stops, because they can't pay out that 5% to 1,000 people. They can only pay it to one person. So that's $5 for every new contract in your whole team. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Okay. I can't read what I've written in black there. It doesn't matter. Let's move on. So again, cross-platform strategizing. Um, we understand the first 2 years are going to be scary, a scary proposition. You'll be saying, what if something happens to Bitnex before you get your payout? Well, there's two things to that. One is, um, if losing $100 is going to put you in financial hardship, do not do it. Okay, have a word with your upline or the person who introduced you, because we have in Wealth Warriors, we have something else you can do that will help you to generate $100 to get started in something. Okay. And if you don't know what that is, I'm going to be covering it on an announcement in the next few days. But it's something you can literally start for nothing. It won't produce a huge amount of money, but if somebody has nothing, then they can build up and they can make enough money to put $100 into something like Bitnex within a few months of just doing some tasks. Okay, so what if something happens to Bitnex before you get your payout? That's a perfectly valid question. But so is, what if something doesn't happen to Bitnex and you get paid out in 2 years? Well, the answer is you're going to regret not doing more. I regret not doing more. I really dragged my feet at the beginning, and I'm looking at my first payout in about 6 months' time. Uh, and I'm really, sorry, less than that, 5.5 months' time. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I say to myself every single day, I should have just put more money in. I have more money. Why didn't I put it in? That is because I didn't believe it. I didn't trust it. And I thought, what if it doesn't work? Well, I could afford to lose $100. Not being boastful, but over the time I've been in business for the last 35 years, I've lost a lot of money doing different things. A lot of it not even online. Going on training courses, it didn't help me. And just, I've lost thousands and thousands. So $100 shouldn't have bothered me. So I really regret not doing more. I'm not trying to talk you into doing more if you can't afford it, but I just want to impress on you how you'll feel if you could do more and you don't. And then if it does work, then you're home and dry. And I'll tell you why, because you've risked $100 and you've made a huge difference to your life by reinvesting back into Bitnex and funding other Wealth Warrior program platforms to add volume and security to your portfolio. You see, the trick with making money in these online businesses, getting your businesses up and running and get to a threshold level where from that point on it's plain sailing. You've got plenty of money to put into these other platforms to make good profit. And if we started a new project, a new platform, you've got some money, you can put a reasonable chunk of money into there to get that platform started. So you're earning good money from that as well. And it's not going to break the bank. Okay. And to get to that threshold is difficult to do. Most of us fail. Our businesses fail. Our businesses blow up. They pull the plug and run away with our money long before we ever get to that threshold. Well, with this, if you put $100 into Bytnex and then do that second round of investing back and you buy 80 contracts, by the time that matures, you are well over that threshold. You don't have to worry about things. You don't have to worry about losing a few $1,000s if a business fails. You can actually afford to take a bit of a chance. So that's the threshold I'm talking about. That's why it's going to make a huge impact to your life. It's not just making money, it's what making that money means to you and to your ability to make even more money. Okay, it's going to really take the shackles off. So we saw earlier how the profits generated from the passive income side can be used to bolster and feed your other Wealth Warriors promoted platforms. Imagine now that as well as that income, you have just the minimum of minimum end of contract commissions outlined here. So what I was talking about just now, the minimum end of line contracts going down 20 levels. Could you imagine that? That's just stupid money. There's nothing you couldn't do. There's nothing you couldn't do with that sort of money. Okay, imagine all the good you could do in the world. You'd have more than enough. You'd have your own businesses that other people are running for you, producing income. You'd have all the luxuries you could possibly want. You'd have all the security you could possibly want, and you'd still have money left over. You could do so much good. So you've got a large and growing portfolio of good, solid businesses, and you've now got more money and more assets than you know what to do with. Everyone will be full of good advice. Oh, trust me, everyone will be so full of good advice. And what I'd suggest you do is look at the person who's giving the advice and figure out if I take their advice, I'll be in 5 years' time, I'll be where they are now. So, you might want to stop listening to your brother-in-law or listening to your mate down the pub, okay? Or listening even to a paid financial advisor who's earning a fraction of what you're earning at that stage. So, the sort of advice you should be taking is off Warren Buffett, Robert Kiyosaki, Elon Musk. Okay, read their books, read their bios, watch some of their videos, figure out what you can do to keep your money and make it work for you. Now, you're free to do whatever you want. That's just something I was advised when I was a younger man. But remember that a fool and his money are soon parted. I used to think that was a fool and his money are soon partying. And after a few parties, I realized that that's not what it meant at all. But a wise man will find out how to protect his wealth. And one of the best ways is by creating a private trust. Now, I'm not going to go into private trusts. But what I would say is if you're interested in protecting your assets through a private trust, then you need to get involved in Republic of Old Souls. They have a fortress asset protection protocol that you can get involved for a very, very reasonable amount of money, $1,000 or thereabouts, a couple of $1,000, and they will show you how to set up the trust and move all of your assets into that trust so that it's no longer part of the government setup or the financial institution setup where you live. Okay, I've called it here Matrix Freedom. It's not, as they've changed their name now, it's Republic of Old Souls. So I've put my referral link in the description below this video. I will take that out for this video because this is a Wealth Warriors video, and I don't want people in Wealth Warriors to get my link. I want you to go back to the person who introduced you and get their link. Once registered, you will get a free Bytnex landing page. The person who introduces you will explain to you how to do that. We are an online community, so if you're looking at this because of Bytnex and I've been talking about Wealth Warriors a bit as well, consider joining us because we're an online community and our system ensures you don't ever lose all of your money to a scammer again, and you don't lose friends and family as you introduce them to your online businesses. We have very strict rules about maintaining lines of sponsorship. And we have a structured program to strategize our wealth production, not just within one platform, which is what you get from most business leaders, but cross-platform strategization. I'm proud of that. I think I've invented that. I've never heard anybody else talk about that. And this maximizes your security, longevity of income, and personal and generational wealth. So come to a Zoom call on Sunday at 10 p.m. UK time. Get back to the person who sent you the link to this video for a link to the Zoom meeting, and contact me, connect on Telegram with @Andy10E6. And I'll be happy to answer your questions about Wealth Warriors or about Bytnex. And so I'll look forward to hearing from you on that. So I'm going to stop to do now. Ask your introducer to be added to the Wealth Warriors Telegram group. Attend a Zoom call and watch the video for each platform you've added funds. And as new platforms are added, get the link from the person who introduced you. Pass your referral link to the existing team and get on a presentation for that new platform as quickly as possible. You grow your Wealth Warriors community by bringing more people to the Wealth Warriors Zoom call or by sharing this video from YouTube. Personally, you may be better at this than me, but I've been personally massively unsuccessful. I would like to say probably 100% unsuccessful at introducing people to Wealth Warriors by talking to them about it in a personal Zoom or one-to-one discussion. The best success I've had is to send a video from my YouTube channel, send it to them because it explains on there how Wealth Warriors works and why they should get on board and have a look at it. Okay, so I would suggest you do the same. Look for any of the videos in the YouTube channel that are dated on a Sunday. I date all my videos, and with the exception of this one, because this isn't suitable. This is just for people that are interested in Bytnex. You only have to promote one or two platforms that you're excited about, and then all of a sudden you notice people are getting involved in other platforms. For example, you might have come to Wealth Warriors because you like Lumex, or you like the Republic of Old Souls. And now all of a sudden, the people you've introduced to Wealth Warriors are being told about Bytnex. So that's kind of how it works. It cross-pollinates. You build one platform, and you can have 5 or more platforms grow below you. The way we're structuring this right now is kind of firmed up a little bit more over the last few weeks, and that is, if we do this properly, we can have about 30 different platforms producing money for us every single day, passively and by building a team. And building the team, once you've built your team, is very, very easy to migrate your team into each new platform that comes along. The more people you have understanding Wealth Warriors, the more people will migrate every time you get involved with a new platform. Okay, so it's worth the effort to do. It's more effort than just doing things by yourself in a platform, but you get much better results because once you've built your team benefit over and over and over and over, which means you benefit over and over as well. So a quick reminder, there's 2 slides left to go. We're building a solid foundation on which we can base our financial futures. We only work with companies that are in it for the long term, and Bytnex is certainly one of those. They've been around since 2018. They've never not paid out a contract. Can you imagine if they didn't pay out a contract, it would be all over the internet in about 10 seconds. Okay, and because there are not thousands and thousands of videos saying, I did that Bytnex thing and I didn't get my money at the end of the contract. There's none of those videos. I've never heard of anybody posting a video like that. So that kind of gives us faith that even if people are keeping quiet about the money they receive, and I can understand people keeping quiet about earning hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. I can understand people keeping quiet about that. But even so, the fact that there are there's not a huge number of videos on YouTube talking about the fact that it didn't work for them, to me, that's kind of proof, if you like. The absence of no proof is proof. I think I'm not even sure if I said that properly, but I'm sure you know what I mean. We only work with companies that are above board. As soon as we identify a company is not above board, even if they fooled us for a while, then we're out. We bin them and we move on to something else. And we build a large asset, which in turn will deliver us a large income. So in the case of Bytnex, we're looking for a large number of contracts to produce a large amount of income. And in other platforms, it's not contracts, it's real estate. So we buy a lot of real estate to give us a lot of money. Only platforms that meet our rigorous criteria are even considered. I know I annoy people when they offer me their pet project that they've been in for a while and they think it meets all the requirements and it's super duper low calorie, rust resistant, best thing they've ever seen. Okay, but if it doesn't meet our criteria, then we don't do it. And part of our criteria has been expanded into the fact that it's got to run with very, very little input from us. Now, if you want to focus on one platform and spend all your time promoting one, knowing that all the other platforms are going to be promoted for you through Wealth Warriors, that's fine. But you don't want to have to spend time babysitting all of your people in 20 different projects, spending all your time solving problems for 20 different in 20 different platforms. You just answering the messages about from a large group. I mean, thousands of people in your team on 20 different platforms. The amount of messages you'd have to deal with is awesome. You would not have your freedom if you did that. You need to have things that just run within the Wealth Warrior system so they can get all the support and all the advice, so not advice, but all of the technical input that they need from us as a community. It's not totally dependent on you. So, so I don't know how I got onto that, but it's been said. So we only work with companies who are doing it for the long term. We only work with companies that are above board, and we build a large asset. We covered all that. Only platforms meet our rigorous criteria. I apologize, we've covered all that. Because we want to apply our rules to this industry to achieve our outcomes, not be at the mercy of any one company. And we've seen companies, even good companies, even companies that we know are legitimate. We've met the owners, we've met the CEO, we've met the management team, we've met the traders, whatever it is. Okay. Even though we know them, we've been there, we went to the convention, we went to their offices, whatever it is, that is no guarantee that they're going to either not change their business model or stay in business. No guarantee at all. And I often have people say people like to feel that the 2 things that guarantee a business is going to be around is one, they're paying out. Well, that's the worst criteria ever, because even scams pay out. In fact, scams like to pay out even more than proper real businesses, because that means they get more people come on board quicker, so they can get their money and run away quicker. So paying out is no guarantee of success. In fact, the opposite. And the fact that people have been to a convention, they say, "Oh, I went to the company offices or whatever." Doesn't matter. Companies can still change the rules. And I've seen dozens of companies, literally dozens of companies, a week after their big convention in Paris or their big event in Shanghai or whatever it is, a week later, they're gone. Okay. So we're not interested in what any one company wants for us. We want to do what we want to do. And if we can use a company part way to get there to fill in some of the gaps we've got, great. Okay, we're not interested in what the company wants. Finally, it's important to remain safe on the internet and in the world of online opportunities at all times. So do not share your password or other credentials with anyone. And where it's available, set up your 2FA on your accounts. Your two-factor authentication is your last line of defense. It's the only part of the security on your account that you're in control of. Everything else is under the control of somebody else. So back up your passwords and your 2FA codes in a secure location, and make sure the executors of your will, your living will, your power of attorney, or your beneficiaries have access to this information in the event of your incapacitation or death. So welcome to Wealth Warriors. We are financial freedom fighters in our own life. Get back to the person who invited you on this call or referred you to this video. They're ready and waiting to help you avoid scams, protect your permanent network, and create immense personal wealth. So with that, I'm going to stop the share and go back to the main room. And before I ask you guys what do you want to do, I'm going to read to you what I said we're going to cover.
Thanks so much.
Meanwhile, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys. God bless.
Thank
and those
you.
of you watching by video, I'd be interested to see if you got all the way to the end of this video, because it's 2 hours on the dot now. So just drop a comment in the box just to say, I survived a 2-hour Zoom call with Andy. So
Yeah,
I'd appreciate it. And
that's great.
meanwhile, have a wonderful, wonderful start to your week. And
Thank you, Andy. You're amazing.
You are.
Sorry,
Thank you.
Can't see who that is, because I want to agree with you. Is that Teresa?
Yeah. Hi.
Caroline.
I was quiet, but it was wonderful. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. Sorry, who was that who said I was wonderful? Was that Lovers of Life?
Yes.
Or Karen?
Yes,
See you soon. How's Ron? Good to see you, my friend.
see you.
God bless everyone. I'm going to switch the recording
You
off
too.
now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, God bless. Bye now.
I want to see you win. I want to see you absolutely smash every single dream you have. I want to see you overcome all of the barriers you face, and I want to see you succeed. I'm your biggest fan, your top supporter, and I'll be with you every single step of the way. You're destined for greatness, with or without me, and I want to see you achieve. Your potential is limitless, and your determination is inspiring. Keep striving for your goals, and I'll continue to cheer you on.